How good?
It looks so realistic.
Our next guest has over 500 million views online. He runs the largest 3D challenge ever that receives thousands of submissions. I've been watching his videos for over 10 years. You already know who he is, and I still can't believe he's joined us on our show. It's Clinton Jones. So without further ado, let's dive right in.
This is the XR Motion Podcast with your hosts, Michael Steinberg and Andrew Hogue.
Bringing on today's guest is Clint. Clint, how you doing, bud?
Hey, I'm doing great. I'm chilling. How are you guys?
Well, doing great. Well, we're going to jump in. We were talking a little bit before the show, so we're just going to start off with the first answer here. You are definitely a man who wears a lot of hats, one including right now. But how would you define what you do?
Oh, geez. Man, yeah, too many things, too many hobbies. People will probably most know me from YouTube. You know, I've had my channel since 2006, the Punisher channel on YouTube, and I host 3D challenges along with my 3D challenge team, and any 3D artist who wants to accept that challenge is welcome to join. So you guys may have seen some of those montages out there. We're doing our 10th one right now, which is crazy. Chasm's Call. We'll probably get into that a little bit later. When I started my channel, it was short films, visual effects tests, Andrew Kramer, videocopilot.net, you know, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
That turned into bigger short films for like games. When they'd come out, they'd need an official live action short film. And I've done a few of those, and, you know, worked at Rocket Jump with Freddie and Sam and Nico at Corridor Digital as well. Probably a lot of people know me from there. So yeah, I don't know. Outside of that, like, I love games, I love music, I love creating things, I love too many things. Yeah.
Well, I wanted to ask a little bit, just kind of about your career a little bit. You know, you've gone from, like you said, you were working with Corridor Crew was exciting. You've had your own projects. I've even heard, I don't know if this is true. I feel like I heard you say it once. You worked at Machinima?
They managed me for a time. I didn't work there, but they were the first. It was funny. They sent me a contract by accident. And and I was like, oh, sick. And like in my mind, it was like an accident. And then when I went, I was like, so that contract, right? And they're like, what are you talking about? I was like, the one that you sent right here, right? I was like, oh. But yeah, that was, we did some good stuff over there together for sure, man. Those are like Sleeping Dogs video, the Wolfenstein video, Dead Island video, like so many videos when I was doing the short films for different game companies. Yeah, that was the Machinima days, man. The original, back in the beginning. Crazy.
Yeah. Oh, dude, I remember that. I remember watching those. They were great. I feel like you had a trend of massive success when it comes to social media and videos online, especially. I don't think a lot of people know, if we have younger listeners on, getting viral on YouTube was about 100 times harder than it is today. I mean, there was no algorithm, right? It was, you had to literally share the video in order for things to kind of blow up. Just considering your very successful career, what are the things that you find before you start shooting or filming that you maybe see as key indicators of it being successful?
Okay, interesting question. Yeah, so I know I've felt it. Like, when an idea pops up, I don't know. I just have this feeling like I know this will do well. And like way back, I did this live action Killzone video. That was like the first time I felt that. Or no, it was the Cardboard Warfare video. That was the first time actually where I felt like this could be a thing. Because it was like, it took us a year to build a life-size tank out of cardboard, and we had to like make it my friend's senior project so that we would finish it.
It's so funny. That was actually one of my questions.
Yeah. Okay. Heck yeah.
Like, how long did that tank out of cardboard take to build?
Yes. Yeah, so it was like when we were doing the cardboard video, it was like no one's ever done this. No one's ever done anything this stupid. No one's ever taken a year to build a tank out of cardboard and then build all the guns out of cardboard and then film the whole thing and add all the effects to it. Like no one's done this before. And I thought like there's something here, and then it was kind of solidified when the video went viral, and like I was like, oh snap, okay, well we got to do a second one, and it's got to be bigger, and we got to blow up the tank, and we got to blow up all these other things with like actual pyrotechnics. And the Killzone video was another time. It's like a gut feeling that I got where it's just like we're we're hitting a threshold where we're like digging. We're out here in the middle of this abandoned warehouse digging trenches in the mud, and it's all foggy, and I don't know. It's just like it's like a rare environment. It's a rare setting. It's a rare like thing that you don't really see that too often, especially on YouTube. Yeah, you see it in movies, of course, but not on YouTube, especially in the early days. And then I felt it during the Floor is Lava, which is a video we did at Rocket Jump, and that was something that I felt. I was like, you know what, this is gonna hit. I had no idea it was gonna hit as hard as it did, because I think it's at like 150 million views or something ridiculous right now.
Yeah.
And I'm
Insane,
like,
dude. Yeah,
what?
it's
It's-
wild.
Yeah, like you can never predict that. I like the prediction threshold for me is like a million views. That's it. Beyond that, who knows? But like that was another one where I felt like, okay, this is something, and I think it just comes down to like my gut feeling. Yeah, obviously I can't describe it, but it's like the idea is super funny, it's relatable, and we're doing it in a unique way, which is, you know, using visual effects in our living room to put lava on the floor, and everyone knows the floor is lava. It's like a thing that everyone gets, but then you're throwing the spin on it and doing it in that unique way. So
No, that's good, dude. I mean, it's funny because we asked that question thinking, like contextually, it's like, of course, it's very easy to look at the end result, right? I mean, even as we just said, like 150 million views plus, it's very easy to be like, yeah, that was successful, right?
yeah,
Or for cardboard warfare, where it's like you're spending so much time doing something that you were getting, the only positive feedback or positive reinforcement you're probably getting is from yourself and like the team that you're working with, right? And I think like, increasingly as we get more exposed to more content, which is like, not a bad thing. I don't think it's bad to see more amazing projects. I mean, if anything, it's like inspiration, right? But I think it can be like pretty easy to sort of, compare, like the comparison starts to sort of like take shape, right? And you're like, well, if it's not, I want to make a video that's as big as that, right? Like, I think the reason we kind of brought that up is because I feel like that's such an interesting thing to sort of go through that process. And like, looking back, having, in your career, having had so many big successes like that, you clearly have an understanding and an approach that, like, despite not having the external validation yet, you're aware of like what ideas are worth pursuing. And from, what you just shared, it sounds like a lot of it is sort of like, if you're looking out in the world and you're seeing other people doing the exact same thing, like, maybe that's not what's going to hit. It's almost like you have to be comfortable with being uncomfortable to sort of get to those ideas that are just like, so outside of the box that they end up, hitting a note with everyone,
yeah, and I think like you say you have to kind of be uncomfortable doing the thing because like it's like a risk, but at the same time, it's not really if you're happy doing it, and you're gonna
Mm.
be happy just putting it out whether it's gets views or not. It's like bonus points if it gets views, because at this point YouTube is my career, so it's how I make my living, and that actually makes it way harder, because it's like, oh, there's an expectation, and if this doesn't do well, then I don't make a living, kind of a thing. And that's the worst. I hate that. That is the hands down worst part of it. Outside of having to market everything, that's the second most hated part for me. Is like,
Yeah, marketing
now,
is the worst.
yeah, now that I finished it, it's like now I have to do all this extra work to like let people know that I exist, and it's like, ugh, I just want to make the art. So that's difficult. But yeah, I don't know. Like I'm at peace when I know I'm working hard on something that I know connects with my soul, whether it's gonna hit or not. But if I have a feeling like it's gonna do well, then that's even better. When I'm, it, and if it's outside of the box, great. That's even better. So
Right.
yeah, I think where I get stressed out is when I'm doing the same thing over and over and over again, and I'm like, God dang, I got to do something different. That's when I get stressed out.
Right.
It's like the opposite.
Well, and so, you even mentioned like, half of the process is making the thing, and the other half of the process, especially in a position like you're in, is marketing the thing and getting that out there. You've mentioned that you have, it sounds like you have a team that you work with on certain things, or at the very least, you're collaborating with, when you bring in judges for competitions, or your experience in your career working with other creators to make content. So, in terms of collaboration in today's digital art world, what does effective collaboration look like to you right now?
Oh man, that's a good question. It's been pretty solitary since I left Corridor. We're in the same office every day. When I was at Corridor, 12 people, all people that I love, like hanging out with my best friends, creating art together, like being in videos. Hey, I need someone to be in this. I need someone to hold the camera for this. Like, uh, it's great. Like that was awesome. And now, since I left, it's pretty solitary because it's just me in this room, and like I don't have a physical creative partner that I work on my YouTube channel with. That I'm thinking about what video do we want to do, all this and that. Like I don't have that, so it's really hard. That's the hardest part, I think now. Um, and I hadn't collaborated really with an artist in the sense that we're like making a piece of art together in a long time, and probably since Corridor, in that traditional sense. I'm doing it this month though, which is awesome. Like for the first time in maybe 5 years, I'm
Wow.
collaborating with one of the guys from the challenges, Fabricio. He won two of them, and he got fourth place
Oh
in
yeah.
another. So
Multi-winner.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
man,
yeah.
he's the
Yep.
king.
A
So
legend.
I'm lucky to be collaborating with him, um, and it's been fun. I'm like getting back into it. But in terms of like outside of that, we couldn't do any of these challenges without the challenge team that I have on Discord. And they started out like as just moderators in my Discord server, but then quickly became the team for building these challenges. And we're collaborating all the time. What's the next challenge? How are we gonna build it? What's the template? All this and that. And it's a lot of time and a lot of effort goes into all that. So we're collaborating all the time in that sense, in kind of like the producing the production of these challenges. So it hasn't been that bad in that if you look at it that way. I think there's like a middle ground. When we were at Corridor, and it was like when COVID hit, it was like everyone was so excited to work from home. It was like, yeah, like feels like it's a rainy day, like school's out, get to wake up and late and not have to waste a bunch of time driving into work. Like this is the best. And then at a certain point, it was like, all right, we're ready to come in. And I think it's just a balance. Like life is just, we need to balance, and having some in person with some work from home, I think is the perfect blend. Because too much of one thing is just too much of one thing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I go in the office 3 days a week, and it's perfect for me. I'm like, that is. I think 2 days a week would be perfect, but
Yeah,
I
yeah,
have
2
to do
days.
3. So, but yeah, it's a great blend. It's because it's also just different work methods. I feel like I work harder sometimes at home based on the projects, but
Yeah,
I wanted to ask, it's funny talking about Corridor Crew and, again, just having a successful history. And it's interesting, too, being at home. I'm just curious, like some of your videos, over 100 million views. How do you celebrate success? Is there like 100 million view dance you do? Or, like,
yeah. I'm bad with
That's
it.
just so mind blowing, right?
Yeah, I'm bad with it. To me, success is upload it, and then if it like, especially if you're like grinding on it. I remember Cardboard Warfare 2.5. It was the like aerial battle one, the World War II like sky battle one with all the airplanes on.
Hmm.
And that one just took
Hell
forever.
of a
And
leap from the first one.
yeah, yeah, for sure. Every shot was a green screen shot. There was like a handful of 3D shots by Playfight VFX House in Vancouver, I think. I don't know. I just remember the feeling of I pulled an all nighter and I hit upload and like made sure all the description was good and I went to sleep. That was success. Um, and seeing it do a million views is like, you wake up from your you wake up from your multi nights of no sleep, and you like squint and you look at the monitor and it's like it's got a handful 100,000 views. You're like, and you can go back to bed. um so that's nice. That's nice for sure.
Sleeping is how you celebrate.
Yeah, I just push myself to like the final straw. And but I don't know. I don't do well with like the celebration part of it. I have like the million view plaque from YouTube, and it's just like in my closet. It's not even up. I guess I'm just more focused on like once I'm done with something, I'm just like, what's the next thing, And maybe I should slow down and
Mm.
try and take that win in a little bit more, and maybe the losses too. But yeah, as of now, I kind of just don't really give myself the thumbs up. I just keep going.
Mm.
Maybe that's a bad
I
thing.
love that you're valid. No, I think that honestly that's a great thing. I think if anything that I think a key trait for a lot of successful people is that but I will say I think reflection is also an amazing thing to do,
Yeah,
but I think when the gratification of making art or doing a project comes from that in itself versus the reward. And if you're always just loving the process, then the process is you're just always going to continue. But if it's the rewards, then well, if you don't have a successful output or then all of a sudden you're just not motivated and people get lost in that. So
yeah.
that's really cool. That's really
That
cool.
it comes down to the why, right? It's like, why are we doing what we're doing? And I think that's so important. And like in the beginning, when we're all first starting out, we're doing it because we love it. It's fun. It's fun. That's why. Or maybe it's a situation where it's like, hey, can you do this? No, but I'll figure it out. You're needed to do it, and then you end up liking it. But I think most of us started out in 3D and art side of life because it's fun, and trying to keep that there and nurture that, just it's for fun, um, whether or not it's there's money involved. I think is so important because that's like the flame part that can't you got to keep the flame going. So I'm trying in like certain areas I'm more passionate about than others, and certain areas are more stressful than others. But yeah, this was me thinking about this like for like the last 3 months as I was burning out just playing music. I was like, why do I not like being on my computer in Unreal Engine anymore? It's so stressful. Yeah.
Well, yeah, I mean, especially when you have the reference point of like, having a time where it's like all you wanted to do, it's the
Yeah.
frustration that comes with that is super real. But I mean, to your point, it's like, I think kind of the bow on all this is like falling in love with the process is probably the more effective. And if you want longevity out of a career, it's like, that's what you need to fall in love with, and falling in love with the end result is probably always gonna disappoint you.
Yeah. Yeah. I think it's a treat at the end. If it's, you know, ideally you should be cool with the process, and if the end is sick and you love it, then that's bonus. Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
I love it. Little side trick I've been doing. I kind of had a little bit of a burnout recently myself.
Mm.
Dare I say a lot of burnout. But this is such a terrible hack. This might not help some people, but I actually I was playing Call of Duty recently, and I had it on the PlayStation. And I just said to myself, you know what? I'm like not going on my computer. Why don't I just delete it off the PlayStation and install it on my computer? And it's kind of one of those things where I don't know if you know Atomic Habit, but it was just
Yeah.
a little habit. So now when I'm on COD, okay, well now I'm opening my computer. Now I'm opening this.
Habit
While
stacking,
that's
baby.
loading, I start like accidentally. I'm like, oh, Habit. I'm putting up Cinema 4D, and then all of a sudden it's like, yeah, I'm playing around the COD now. I'm kind of getting back into cinema, but it was just a nice. Now I don't even I play COD whenever like the MoGraph guys get on, but
Yeah.
minus that up. But now I'm enjoying. It was a nice little kickstart to get my wheels back on the computers. I just made getting on the computer a little bit more enjoyable for myself.
Yeah.
Yeah. I
That
love
might
that.
not work for some people. Some people might just start playing Call of Duty all the time on the computer, but you know, but
That's good.
I wanted to move on here to the challenges, right? So
Hmm.
the challenges are massive. This is the meat. This is why we had to have you on. We are so excited about this. I just want to ask one thing real quick. You know, we talked about some of the struggles earlier, right? About doing this. You know, you have to get all these files coming in or all these submissions coming in. It's a lot of work just setting up the templates. On a positive note, what's your favorite part about throwing the competition?
Oh, definitely getting the files and looking at everyone's art with all of the challenge team. Where on Monday we're like, download all the files, thousands of renders, and then we're like, let's kick back and enjoy. This is like, it's essentially what we're doing. Like we realized it's like it's like we're doing a generative prompt, but there's a month lag, and it's real people. It's not, servers spinning up, right? And like we're
I
like,
love
okay,
that.
we have to guide everyone. We're trying to guide everyone down this path. We're trying to be as descriptive as possible, but also at the same time not being so descriptive that everyone does the same thing. And then we get all the art in, and we just for like 2 or 3 days, we're just watching art, and we're like getting amped about, oh my god, this one's so sick, and putting together that top 100 montage, and then working with the musician and getting the music files coming in, and like hand picking where the top 100 renders go to best match the music, and where the music best matches the art, like that's the best time. And I think it's just fun working with the challenge team, because like it's not just me. It's not a lonely endeavor. There's people involved, and like for this one, uh Folio, the guy who kind of handles the website, the launch page stuff, putting all that stuff together, he put together this insane puzzle on, like, because we released a teaser saying, like, oh, here's a countdown to what? Well, challenge, of course. But if you start clicking around, you'll like fall into this puzzle trap, and you have he basically put together 10 insane puzzles that at the end will reveal the name of the challenge with like the art and stuff. And he went so deep, like he had you he had you printing out like pieces of paper with like instructions on them with like where to fold, and you had to fold like this origami boat, and then it spelled out what the next clue was. Like, it was ridiculous. um so it's cool, like seeing, working with him, and like, and the whole team, just seeing it all come together. But yeah, definitely getting the renders in, and just, that's the fruit, like kicking back. The hard work is mostly done, and we just get to see all the awesome art. That's the best part for sure, easily. Oh, and meeting everyone, being able to meet the winners and meet the top 100 and everything, and like, um, you know, I've become friends with them, and like we even got a picture right here. This is let's
Oh
see, it's
wow!
very dark. Hold on, let me see. So this is
Nice.
Fabricio. This is Fabricio. This is Sam. You got 5th place. Endless Engines. That's Malor. I think you got 4th place.
Wow!
Hell yeah.
So it was like, first, 5th, and 4th or something. I think in one. It's at camp. That's bingo night at
Yeah,
Colorado.
camp. Okay,
yeah.
yeah. David and Luigi. I know we got a
Yeah, Luigi, for sure. You guys have Luigi on?
He's gonna actually be on next
Next
week.
week,
Funny
yeah.
enough,
Sick. Let him know I'm
yeah,
loving
getting the
loving his
chasms.
his poncho. He got me this poncho at camp last year.
Oh yeah,
Oh, nice.
I hadn't been able to stop wearing it. It's the best.
oh
Shout
that
outs
is
to Luigi.
amazing. That's a fun little Easter egg. Yeah, I love that guy. He's too funny, man. That
Yeah.
guy had me cracking up the entire camp. He is hilarious.
Yeah, he's a good.
Yeah,
He's
excited
like
to
a
catch up.
solid dude for sure.
All right, so okay, so aside from love the picture you shared. One of the things that kind of made me naturally think about another question we wanted to ask was like, aside from you get the top 100, you get the top 5, like we were talking earlier about like what are the things that make a project successful. I'm sure there are success stories somewhere buried deep in all of the submissions that that might not be as celebrated as others, but like, have you had any experience with the challenge where you're getting feedback from people that are like, hey, this was the first time I opened Blender, or like the first time I opened Cinema, or, the first project I've ever worked on personally. And it led to something that, kind of kickstarted my career, or like any sort of, I guess, feel good moment of like, a person getting something out of the competition beyond just winning the competition.
Oh yeah, totally. I mean, I'll get emails sometimes from people who say, "Hey, I just want to say what's up," and like just to let you know that like I started doing these challenges and I've done a couple here and there, and it's got me to the point where like I got a job out of it, because the like every time we launch the challenges or post the montages, like we release a page of the artist's name, their link, and their like yeah, I think just name and link, so that if people want to go find more about the artist, they can go to the link and maybe find their email or DMs, whatever. And the guy was like, yeah, they found me from the artist. All the whole like
Wow.
thousands of artists, they found me and picked me, and I got hired at this company I'm at right now. And like I heard that from a friend in at yoga, who I've become a pretty good friend with, and he's a musician, and I told him about the challenges, and he said that when he went to South by Southwest, like his like coworker or something, or like boss or connection somewhere, said, yeah, I've hired people from the montages. So like, yeah, people get
Wow.
jobs from it and stuff. And like I know there's people who like have never touched Blender. Yeah, it's their first month in Blender, and they are excited enough to join and like put something out. I'm like, dude, that is the best, because it's only gonna go from there. Like it's fun. Challenges, like for me, like I said, I love a good challenge, and it seems a lot of other people do as well. So it makes me happy.
That's amazing.
That's amazing. I didn't even think about that. How many creative agencies are probably like, "Oh, we need a style," and then they just look at the top 100 and like, "That's it. Like, that's what we're going for. Like, who's that guy?"
Yeah,
That's kind of given the cream of the crop picking for a lot of agencies and producers and art directors to help find people for their projects.
yeah. Hopefully, it makes it all easy. People get hired. That's fun. I love it.
So I want to, man, I have a few questions here that I'm excited to ask. Trying to think, do you want a positive question or a negative question?
Let's go negative. It's been pretty positive so far. So
Okay, all right, negative question. So what is the thing that kind of maybe you'd say I wish people didn't do that? Like not minus the 25 frames per second or the comp size was too big, but just visually maybe where like you see it and it makes you roll your eyes like, oh yeah, like why did they do that?
well, I think the first one is follow the rules. Like some people just don't get it. I don't know why or how or what. Like we've done 10 of these at this point. Like still some people just don't understand what we're doing. And I'm like, dude, like look at the other ones. Like, can you not see what we're trying to do here? Like I explained it. Like how many times do we have to explain this? Oh man, it's a lot. So there's that, and then I don't know. It's people like unhooking the camera and doing like we call them 360 no scopes, where it's like they try and do some out of the box idea, and they just like it's not even part of the challenge anymore. It's some short film over here. It's like this doesn't fit. Like the whole point is it all fit.
Hey, Clint, here's my reel.
Yeah. We've getting like, I mean, that you get troll submissions. I think the one like when it comes down to art is like, because you don't want to sound mean. You never want to sound mean. Um, but like
No,
pure
but
emissive,
just
like
maybe you've
just
seen it like a lot.
only emissives, dude. Like orange and cyan emissive over like noise lava. Like it's like Tron
Mm.
emissive. That's it. And it's like, dang. I wish. Yeah, I don't know. But it's tough because it's like those people probably their first couple months in Blender or whatever. And it's like you can't knock it, if that's what for them, like that's what their peak is. No one's like submitting crap, you know, to
Mm.
themselves. Like they're submitting the
Yeah.
best they got.
Must
And
not have
like
seen my last submission.
oh man, that's funny. Have you submitted? Had you
I think I submitted once, and I mean,
Yes.
again, it was. I've tried submitting 3 times, but I just
Yeah.
either errors or it's just not good
It's
enough.
hard.
One, I had like a weird volumetric problem where my render time, it was like the first 20 frames of my explosion were fine, and then it would get one more frame, and then the render time would just jump to 24 hours, and then it was like
Oh man.
60. I was like, I don't. It was just some
Yeah.
errors, but
Yeah.
I've tried for a few of them.
It happens,
I've
man.
submitted
Yeah, it
one time,
happens.
and honestly, I think like even getting on this call with you, one of the things I thought, so having just done Eternal Ascent,
Yeah.
um, I used it as an opportunity to be like, I've been learning Houdini and Redshift, which are not, that is not my tool set, right? But I was like,
Yeah.
I want to do more of the, I was enjoying it. I want to do more of that work. I wasn't getting that in client work. So it's like, okay, like let me at least prove to myself that I can go through, a month long exercise or whatever. And I think like, especially, you're probably dealing with people that are coming across like a whole gamut of experience, right? Like people that
Oh,
are,
yeah.
just starting out, people that are like full-fledged pros, 20 plus years, whatever. I think that's an important thing, at least again, objectively, like one submission and like have been watching it forever. But like, I think if you're in a position where it's like, these are a great opportunity to like stretch, if you're in a position where it's like, yeah, I'm gainfully employed and I feel good about where I'm at as an artist, but I want to get out of the comfort zone. Everyone wants to get that job that you're reaching for, but like if it's not in the portfolio, it doesn't get booked, right? Like, so if you have I think something like this that gives you structure to sort of flex yourself a little bit. But it's funny because before we got on this call, one of the things I talked about was like, I remember at the 2 week mark of Eternal Ascent was when I started feeling like conceptually, I'm feeling so solid on like where I'm
Yeah.
at, but technically I'm starting to like understand the limitations. And it's so funny how quickly like 2 weeks of technical limitations will just like squash what you're capable of doing very quickly. So like so much of these competitions or these challenges are not just about, at least from what I, and going in the Discord and seeing people who have, up to the final hour, shit, my render is like 50x what I thought it was going to be, and it's not going to finish in time. These are great opportunities, I think, for artists to not only understand what your limitations are technically as an artist, but also what it means to like, if you have a 1 month deadline on a client project, you have to consider so much more beyond the scope of what you're capable of doing, but like technically what you're capable of delivering. What is your hardware? Are you rendering on a render farm? Do you have the bandwidth, on your internet to download all those files in time and recomp them? Like, those are things. And I feel like you've reiterated a little bit, Clint, as like, it's not just what you're capable of producing, it's what you're capable of delivering. And that, like, that kind of gray area is not something that a lot, unless you're in the industry and doing the work, you don't have those experiences very often. So I guess that's a long-winded way of saying I'm very appreciative of, having a prompt and a challenge that pushes me beyond just like, being in the box, right? Like it makes you
Yeah.
think about things a little bit broader.
Yeah. It's
I
like,
want to jump
yeah, go ahead,
on
Mike.
too. Oh, well, I just want to say again a little appreciation. You know what? It's the hot air for Clint real quick section. But yeah, no, I mean honestly, the challenges, like I really absolutely love that there's the starter files I feel like a lot of times when it comes to starting a new or creative project, it's just like getting past that first hump.
Yeah.
And once I actually have a project file and it's open, man, like it makes me think in a different way and it gets me so excited. And it's like I'm thinking about a project in a way I've never thought about it before and in an environment that I would not have given to myself. And even this one I'm working on now, I'm like really excited about it. It's a lot of fun, like depth. Like I've never seen how far I can push a mountain back in Cinema 4D before. Like,
Oh, sick. Yes,
and
right. Get that clipping plane up, like max it out. Yes.
yeah, exactly. And so, it's like I'm like trying things I've never tried before. And it's just a
That's
great,
awesome.
great thing for anybody who's curious about it. And again, like the community you've developed is also just so exciting to see what everybody else is doing. It's a lot of fun. So I just, again, huge shout out to you. It's great to get your creative wheels going. So I wanted to say this is a question I've been wondering. And I'm almost nervous to ask what you've seen. Again, so much art. I mean, maybe in the realm of a topic, like you said, that was the funniest analogy ever. Is it's kind of like an AI renderer, except it's just thousands of people answering your prompt and making the art for you. I love that.
Yes.
Being one of the few people that get to experience that and see as much results as you have, what is one thing that maybe you haven't seen that you've always wanted to see and would like just take your breath away?
It's really hard to say because with each challenge, it's like a new thing. So like maybe certain challenges.
Sure.
Yeah, I could say what I'm excited to see for this challenge. I have ideas in my mind, like when I think of what it could be, and but it's specific to each challenge. I don't know if it's like, I think the answer would have been a looping submission. And last challenge, Kinetic Rush, we had two of them in the top 100, and like one of them, actually, both of them, I don't even think I realized that they looped until like way later. And my mind was blown extra because it was like it was under my nose this whole time and I had no idea. Yeah, I don't know. What would it be now? I that's a hard one. I don't have a back pocket answer for that, but looping was one of them for sure, and that's been done. And yes, it does change with each submission, or each challenge rather.
Paging Gavin Shapiro. Can we get Gavin Shapiro in the chat?
Oh, he helped build the template for Eternal Ascent.
Exactly. Yeah. Like, but like the king of loops, dude. The king of loops.
Yeah.
In my mind.
No, he's like mind blowing. That guy is
just amazing.
Awesome. Also, he's also from New York too. Yeah.
Yeah.
He was he actually was on a panel we did at a film fest up here in New York. So XR did a future tech panel, and Gavin came on, talked a little bit about his NFT project where it was I'm gonna blank on it. Greed versus.
He went far with that.
Yeah, it was crazy. It's like he was just in like doing stuff that, I don't know, when every idea was exhausted, he was the one kind of like pushing things to a different plane, which I, and just, he's like the nicest dude. He's just, I love that guy so much. Like I loved meeting him. Amazing. Yeah. So what do you think, Mikey? We good on the challenge stuff? Do we want to kind of move into the like final chapter here? And
so, yeah, we're going to start off before we dive into the deep topic, the things we've all been talking about. We're going to actually start off first with VR and AR. How do you see it impacting our industry?
Well, my reference for VR would be the company Stress Level Zero, which I don't know if you guys know. They put out Boneworks, Bone Lab.
Oh yeah,
Brandon Lodge, and some friends started that company, and I know Brandon from the Freddie W days. So
wow, I didn't know there was a connection there.
Oh yeah, it was Freddie. The Freddie W channel on YouTube was Freddie and Brandon, and it was them. They were the ones putting out the VFX videos on early YouTube in the early YouTube days, and he went on to make games and is at like very close to the top, if not at the top. Like he's killing it, with Boneworks and Bone Lab and all that stuff. So
yeah,
I know that there are people excelling in the field, My experience with VR is like way down here. I have like a Quest 2 and I've used it like twice for that Walking Dead game. Um I don't know if it really like connects with me. I don't even like being on my phone a lot. So the
Mm.
idea of strapping one to my head is like, get me out of here. Uh I don't know. I hadn't found the one. I gotta play Half-Life Alex. That's why I bought it. I bought it to play Half-Life Alex because I'm like the biggest Half-Life fan, but apparently not because I haven't played the game yet. So
Well,
I don't
now
know.
they have the auto connect to Valve, which is nice. From the I'm not sure on the Quest 2. I know on the Quest 3 they do now. It just
What is that?
instantly links to your PC. So it
Okay.
the with the new Quest feature, yeah, as Steam Link now, you can just download it on Quest, and if you
Yeah.
have the game, it works perfectly wirelessly. You don't even got to be connected to your computer, and yeah, it's made me use it a few more times than normal. But
But yeah, I've wanted to be like. I feel like the ultimate version is like David Malor with VR painting and creating these awesome sculpts. Man,
Mhm.
like that. I think that's like he's killing it with the VR usage
Yeah.
there and combining the art with the VR stuff, like super sick. I like the idea. Like a while ago, I had the idea of like a VR gallery and like having each one of our render challenges and we even do weekly challenges as like a gallery in this giant uh kind of like museum and being able to experience that and like VR chat, do screenings together. But like, I think that just way beyond what I was capable of creating. It still is, you know. But I don't know. I don't know what version of VR connects with me yet. I do know
Mm.
XR, so I rock climb a lot, and the half of rock climbing, like so, I'm talking like outdoors with ropes, right? Half of rock climbing is like finding the freaking climb. You gotta hike all the way up to the
Yeah.
cliff. You gotta be like comparing it with, you know, maybe you have a picture uploaded on Mountain Project and you're like, now this shadow is in the shape of a little triangle thing, and I'm trying to look like the sun isn't quite at the angle it needs to be to match with this picture. So XR would just be like, you know, you go boop and it goes like, that's the line up, the bolt line up the wall. That would be perfect. Or like, hey,
Mm.
I'm trying to find
A
you. Where
beta
are you
app.
at this? Yeah, exactly. Or like you're trying to find your friend at like Comic Con, and it's like I'm gonna drop a pin, and they just have like a waypoint in a video game going up to the ceiling, and you're like, I'm coming to you. You know that if it was put into these glasses and not a freaking like ridiculous looking device on your head,
Yeah,
I'm all there for it. I think that would be sick.
I think that's coming sooner than later. I mean, I was at CES this past CES in January, and the new glasses. I mean, they look like regular glasses, and they've somehow been able to add in text that looks like it's far away. It's just text right now, but it's beautiful. And I had a lady speaking to me in Mandarin, and it was translating in real time perfectly, and I
Oh,
could read
sick.
everything she was saying. Yeah, and it had like a cool, they called it the bullshit feature, where if somebody was stating facts wrong, so it was like inputting facts as somebody was talking. So if somebody
What?
was like, oh, America was made, yeah, in like, I don't know, 1859, it would be like, no, it was
Yeah, real
17.
time fact checking. That's crazy.
Yeah.
Dude, everyone would be a know-it-all. That'd be so annoying. Everyone would just be like, "Oh, I'm sorry, but I know the right answer." Like,
Well, actually.
yeah, I like, oh, I'd lose my mind.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that could certainly be helpful. I think yeah, the XR for me is more practical than uh the VR side of things because again, I don't have the experience with VR to be like, this would be the sickest thing ever. I would rather be in real life than a virtual world. Um, so yeah, I don't know. That's just me.
I don't want to take up too much of your time, but I want to jump into this last subject just because I think it's the biggest thing on
Let's do it.
a lot of people's mind. But that's AI and AI generated art. What's your thoughts on it?
Uh, I don't like it. And I, in the beginning, I was mid-journey, doing all that, testing it out. Thought it was kind of cool. But like, I don't know, I Googled like penguins, and like half of them were real. The other half was AI. And I'm like, okay, I don't like that. And we're on Etsy and we're looking at prints for our place, and we're like, oh, that's cool. Let's look at their other ones. And they all look 5% different than the one I thought was cool. And I'm like, hold on, this is all AI, and they're not really telling you about it. And then we're at the antique fair, and they're selling framed pictures, and we're like, oh, that's cool, that's cool. Oh my god, these are all AI, and they're being sold as like antiques. So it's like scammers paradise, I guess. I hate that, and I think people should have stickers that say AI on them, red stickers that say AI. You should be putting it on things that are AI out in the world so that people know what's AI and what's not. And like, does the person who's selling those prints know it's AI or not? I don't know. Um, and I get the whole thing where it's like people are saying, oh, but it's the times, and like, uh, the people who when the camera came out, people who were painting were like, oh, the camera sucks, or like people, when 3D came out and
Yeah.
puppeteers were like, 3D sucks. It's like, I don't know.
3D sucks. Yeah.
It just feels, I don't like it because I like the process of creating the art. And to me, typing in prompts like this is not creative. It doesn't get me excited. And like, I don't like this idea of living in a world where you don't know what's real and what's not anymore. And I think we're also going to have like a ton of stuff come out, just like garbage. It's just going to be spewing from every computer out there, every phone out there. There's just garbage coming out, being uploaded to YouTube, Spotify. Like, there's AI music on Spotify, tons of that, and they don't tell you.
Yeah.
And you're just gonna have like a lesser appreciation for what's real anymore, I guess. And like, even if it's not AI, you're gonna be like, is this AI? You're like, you're not gonna be able to appreciate it anyway. And like, some people say, who cares if it's AI? Well, I don't know. I guess that's the question. Does it matter?
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah.
What do you guys think?
Yeah, I feel the same way. I'm curious of the limitations of AI and where it's actually going to go. I've been diving into it as a just to know, you know what I mean? I don't want to be the guy who's like, it gets slapped in the face at the last second.
Yeah.
And so I'm just seeing what, like, because it's one thing you look at some people and they're like, dude, look, you can make a Disney movie in one click. Okay, well, now I'm trying it and I'm like, this is not the case at all. Like,
Sure.
half the generations are crap. It's also really expensive. Like, I think I just put $30 for Midjourney around, and then I had to do like $40 for credits for video, and sometimes the video comes out bad, and I'm like, okay, wow, that was a waste of like $1 right there, and now
Yeah.
you don't even have control over it. I think the thing I'm most annoyed about it is, just like you said, is that there's no indication on or not on whether it's AI. And I feel like it's the times where I see like the AI bros or somebody being like, I made this. And it's like, AI is almost like somebody else making it and then you claimed you made it. Like, I almost want to view AI as like a different person.
It's like you found it. It's like you Google searched really hard
Yeah.
and found it, is kind of how it is. And like, do we feel that way because we're 3D artists, and like anyone else who has no art experience or creative side, and like, oh, check this out, and they end up really loving it, and it like allows them to be creative. Like, I don't think that's a bad thing. Because like, I definitely recognize that me being an artist and having, being a lifelong artist, I will continue to be an artist for the rest of my life. My view is biased on it when it comes to the art side of things, right? Like, of course, I don't really like it because I like making art in a different way. But I don't know. Is it ego? Is it like I worked hard to make this and you should work hard too? Um, I don't
I
know.
I feel like the thing that I keep getting hung up on, and like it's sort of an intersection of like all these different pieces of my life, some of them creative, some of them just like being interested in technology and like, futurism or whatever. Um I think like the intersection of all of this for me is that, I read something recently that was talking about how like if you look at any of the CEOs of like of the biggest tech, FANG in America, right? Like the biggest tech companies in America, the one thing they all agree on is that like more information is always better, right? And I read this piece that was basically laying out this idea that like more information does not equal more truth, right? And like
Yeah, it
I
makes it more
think the
confusing.
thing that I've always appreciated about like art and like the creative pursuit is that like it's in pursuit of truth to whatever it means to you as the creator. And like that is also the biggest struggle of every person I've ever talked to on this podcast, at our meetups, at camp, at Dash Bash, like whatever, wherever I go out in the world and I'm meeting people that are creating, the thing that all of us are dedicated to doing and like the lifelong pursuit is like is the realization of whatever that truth is to you. And what bothers me so much about AI is that like it's built and predicated on the idea that if we feed AI more information, it will get us closer to this objective truth, whether it's aesthetically or emotionally or visually or narratively, that it's somehow correct, right? And like the problem is like if you look even at how social media has developed, to where it is now, there's inherent bias to all of it. Like all these, all these tools that we have that aggregate all these different areas of information and data and creativity, all it does is reflect back to us the things that we're bad at, I think. And like when I
Sure.
look at AI generated anything, it is yeah, I mean, I guess it's what the algorithm would prefer to see right now at this moment in time, but that doesn't mean that that is there is any sort of objective correctness to it. And I think that like the more that we lean on tools like that, the less we're going to have like these unique voices, whether it's our own or anybody else's. And that multiplied by like I read about dead internet theory like 7 years ago, and I thought at the time I was like that, like okay, that seems like a little far fetched. And then now I'm like, oh yeah, dude, like you Google search anything and half the results are bots. Like it's like
Yeah.
most of what we're interacting with right now is agent driven content, not just from like a visual standpoint but also from a written standpoint. Now we're starting to talk about bringing audio into it and video into it, and so like I think it's sort of it is a moral question for sure, but it's also like I don't know, that stuff just doesn't move me. Like I don't if I see something that looks amazing and beautiful, but I know that no one spent any time putting the brushstrokes on or like pushing the pixels around or moving the notes or it just it loses all it doesn't compel me at all. And so I think
Yeah.
that like that is for me the thing where I'm like I see it as a tool, sure, and if you want to use that tool, great. But like, I think the way that it's being pitched to us is like this is the next automation boom, the next .com boom, industrial revolution 3.0. I don't know, like whatever. Like it's just it's vapid at the end of the day. Like it lacks a lot.
I think there's, yeah, that's like the biggest point. I don't think we've even mentioned that on the podcast in a while. I think it was a point we used to bring up, but a lot of it is, yeah, the authentication or the it being real, right? Like you can take a picture or look at a picture of the Mona Lisa or of the Statue of Liberty, but seeing it in like real life, like seeing the actual original, like the artistry behind it is so
Mhm.
powerful. And like, dare I even say, like sometimes when somebody, and sometimes it's the story that is the art in itself behind a piece, right? But all of that is derived from like an artist making it. And so I feel like even if somebody's making cool stuff with AI, like I feel like people need more context as to why it was made. And I think we look at the cool stuff, but if there's no context behind it, like people aren't going to gravitate towards it because again, you can have somebody who puts a blue dot on a canvas and sell it for $3 million. Some might call it bullshit, but other people can look at the story behind it, why somebody made it, and now we're like saying, oh, there was like a human who had a thought, who had an idea, and like that's what's it's like that human connection. And
That's
so
funny.
I feel
Yeah.
like when it's AI, you're like ripping that out of the equation, and it's forcing a disconnect, which is where I kind of see AI
Yeah.
just not,
I think
you know,
when you mentioned like the minimalistic kind of art, I guess I had the same feeling about that art style that contemporary art. That's what I'm trying to say. I had the same feeling about
yeah,
contemporary art that I do about AI art. It's like, come on, guys, come on. um,
100%.
but I know
Yeah.
there's like, there's something there with contemporary art. I think I just don't appreciate it as much as like that fine art. I love that fine art. And to Andrew, like what you're talking about with like it AI getting close, like they're saying that AI is getting closer to like the truth for everybody. I'm thinking like it's really separating all of us, and I think the algorithm too. The idea of the algorithm, everyone, it's serving the individual what it thinks they want, and like you're kind of putting your decisions up to the algorithm and trusting it that much. It's also like no one's. I'm not excited about movies really anymore in the sense that like let me rephrase that. Movies aren't as a big of a deal as a widespread deal as they were in the past. Like, the Matrix would come out, or I guess Inception, yeah, whatever. Some big movie would come out, and everyone would be talking about it. Everyone would be watching Game of Thrones. Um, I guess that kind of happened with Barbie and Oppenheimer a little bit, and like Dune. I think Dune was the last one where I was like, feel like everyone's talking about it. Some TV shows come out, yeah, White Lotus, like people were talking about for a little bit. Um, Severance, that kind of stuff. But like, I feel like so many things are just coming out, and everyone is so like plugged into their own channel that it's like we're all being separated. You don't have those like big deal moments like that as much anymore. And I'm like, dang, that kind of sucks too. I don't want to be alone in my content viewing experience.
And I want to say too, like kind of to wrap it into more of a happy note, that I do think at the end of the day, as we're talking about kind of these things coming about and being massive disruptors and just at least communication on an online sense and what we're actually viewing, I think that the revolt of that is going to be a huge resurgence and a drive and a thrive for community, right? And I think as we're like looking at even the XR Motion meetup, like people love to do the Discord. People love to have these interactions. Like, and I think
Totally.
just Clint, like what you're doing, man, like people are absolutely loving it. Like
100%.
making connections, making these friends. Camp Mograph, like
Yeah.
seeing everybody in person. Like this,
the
these
the
are the
number
things
the
that are
number of
elevating. Like
notifies
people are,
waiting the number of notifies waiting to watch the live review of the top 100, like
oh man,
like
it's insane.
how many moments, I mean, I guess, yeah, you could say like Super Bowl, things like that, but like even that idea of like people all being present in a space at a single time experiencing something together, like that
Yeah, it's
And
is,
cool.
working together,
yeah,
like I feel like that it's like not even like the a side aspect that's just growing is like minus the challenge and even minus the cool stuff and the top one. It's like being able to work together with everybody and seeing each other's art. It's like that community bond. I think that's like growing drastically more and more. And I think
Yeah.
that's like one of the cool things. And I think as things might get more flaky, we might start stopping just viewing things for what it is and more trying and being attracted to like real connections with people, which
yeah,
I think is going to be could be a really beautiful thing in the
I
future.
agree.
absolutely.
Yeah, I agree 100%. And I really appreciate you guys like having me on and chatting about all this. It's very fun. keep going and keep chatting.
I could go all night.
Yeah, same. And like, it was cool to see you guys at camp too. And like, I hope to see you at another camp. I mean, I'm excited. I freaking love camp's the best. Camp MoGraph, everyone. If no one knows what we're talking about, but I have a feeling they do.
Yeah. And dude, if you're ever out in New York, you are always welcome at any XR event. You always have a place to stay. You always have a place to hang out and chill and share ideas and have conversations like we had tonight. Totally agree, man. I cannot thank you enough for just giving us, being so generous with your time, especially at a time where things are so insane for you, I imagine. And I know that, so many people in our community are super stoked for this challenge and for all the challenges you've done and all the challenges that are going to come ahead. So thank you so much for being so generous with your time.
Absolutely, guys. Y'all are the best. Thanks for reaching out.